Mariah, I think um, when you were in high school, didn't you do
Oh, let's not talk about
traditional
that.
tabletop gaming?
Yes, I did. I was
Which
very
games did you
nerdy.
play?
Uh, Shadowrun and Vampire the Masquerade. I was an incredible nerd.
That's what I wanted to ask you about, Vampire the Masquerade.
I vaguely remember it. It was just a lot of cool kids were doing it. It was a great outlet for creativity.
Yeah. Apparently, they made a video game version of this. Well, they made a video game based on the lore, the content, and I suppose the rules of Vampire the Masquerade. Well, I guess a game company licensed the title,
Was
the
it
intellectual
very
property.
successful?
I downloaded it recently. I paid for it. It was on.
How much was it?
It was on a website, and it was only a few dollars, and it's a very old game, so I was able to buy it for just a few dollars. I said, why not? I need some interesting diversion right now.
It was a fun game.
It's a really hard time. People are struggling, so I just thought, oh, this looks like I'll be able to enter a really cool LA vampire underworld that will be full of light comedy and will feel like basically I'm in an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'll be walking around talking to people, developing my vampire character, and that's what the game will be, and I'll just play
Are you
for a little
Spike or
while.
Angel? Which team?
Well,
You have to answer
to put
that.
a very fine point on it, I thought
Boreanis or Marsters. I never caught on to that.
when I downloaded the game, I thought I would be a character like that, but that's not how it turned out.
How did it turn out?
Well, when you start the game, you can create the kind of character you want, exactly the kind of character you want. It gives you two options. Or you can go through what amounts to basically a personality test where you're asked questions, like moral questions, like ethical questions. Like,
That was in the book as well.
like, for example, if you're like at a bar and like a fight breaks out or someone gets up in your face, do you get back up in their face and throw it back at them, or do you try to calm the situation down and get out the back door? And based on your responses to these questions, the game tells you what kind of vampire you are, and that's what I chose. And for each of the questions, I always answered like the person who wanted to de-escalate and wanted to ensure their own survival and just get out of the situation without a scratch, just keep living in the world. And
So, were you some kind of politician?
no, this was assigning you a vampire clan. And
Well, there are
according to,
clans that were more apt to that
Okay.
vocation.
but I felt like I made a series of very adult and sensible responses to these moral, dilemmas that they were outlined by these questions.
Of
And
course you did.
at the end of that questioning, the game said, okay, you are a revolting Nosferatu that lives in the shadows and can't be seen by people without them screaming in your face.
Really?
So according to the game, to be a sexy, cool vampire, you have to answer as though
You have to be an attention whore.
you have to make the sort of choices that would get you on World Star Hip Hop. Like, would you make a choice that could possibly alter your life or end your life because someone got your burger wrong?
Wait.
So if you would do that, then and answer each question that way, basically get in people's face.
Were you just thinking about Mama Margie's and the knife fights over burritos at 3 a.m.?
Yes, that sort of thing.
Very wild
If you
place to
wouldn't-
be at 3 a.m.
If you
in San
wouldn't
Antonio.
immediately start fronting and get very serious over incredibly non-serious things, if you don't
Trivial.
if you don't do that, then you are a disgusting, revolting Nosferatu. Oh, this is what you are. You're a character from the underworld that can't be seen by other people if you are this kind of person. So how would that translate back into the real world?
Wait, I'm trying to think. I don't remember the clans exactly, except the clan that I was a member of. But I know there's a clan that does favor that. They're proud, but they're more diplomatic. So I can't imagine that you would be the Nosferatu.
Malkavian?
Yeah, I was Malkavian. But mostly because I just thought that was
Yes,
funny.
one of
That was
the
my
main Malkavian character in the game is a whore. Well, anyway,
the Malkavian. We interpreted them a bit differently.
so at the onset, I don't have, because I thought, oh, this is going to be like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I'm going to be a sexy, cool vampire. So at the outset, that hope is dashed. It's a no, you're this creature that looks like a Gary Oldman from Bram Stoker's Dracula when he was in the bat state. That's what the character looks like in the game.
I remember.
And in the game, if you go near normal humans, they scream and run away. So this is not
normal humans are not very reasonable.
I wanted
in this
to be
day and
Lestat,
age.
like seducing people, but no, I'm a monster. So I don't start over. I say, okay, this is the dice I rolled, so I'm just going to play the game this way. It's role playing. You go with the role you're assigned. So it gets worse from there. I thought, okay, I didn't think this was going to be like a dark gothic horror game, because I don't usually play those kinds of games because they scare me. I thought
Castlevania.
I wouldn't give that. I would say more like Resident Evil, like a horror game.
Yeah, I'm not really into it either.
I thought, oh, this is going to be, I keep saying, like Buffy. Like I'm going to be in an episode of Buffy. It's going to be
something
light.
a bit more romantic and comedic and, thoughtful, a comment on society.
And the game is set in Los Angeles, and it was released in 2004. So
it will have a hint of California style.
The game was actually released while Buffy was still on the air. So this is like a vintage game. It was 2004. But the Buffy stuff is there. There's definitely the cool late 90s, early 2000s, funny, quippy California kind of vibe. The whole game takes place at night. There literally are no daylight scenes. So
you're vampires.
Yes. And there are characters that sound like a 90s Brad Pitt surfer character. So those kinds of characters pop up, and it's like a stereotype, and it's what you want. It's what I wanted. It's like I'm an Encino Man, but with vampires. So in other words, The Lost Boys, or in other words, Buffy.
Anything from that,
This is really
era.
confusing. But one of the first missions you're assigned is to basically solve a ghost story. One of the powerful vampire characters, who is like a madam at a whorehouse, essentially says, I have this real estate property that I want to turn over. I want to make some money, but there's a serious haunting going on. It's like a beachfront hotel. So you're a disgusting Nosferatu and you make me sick. So I'm going to deploy you to this seaside hotel, and you're going to solve this haunting.
So the trajectory of this game has been inspired by the choice of vampire they've given you.
I don't know that because I've only played it as one vampire. I'd have to play it as a different
But
vampire.
we're assuming,
it might be the exact same.
Taken that turn for that reason.
It might be the exact same missions for all I know. But anyway, she says, okay, to get rid of this ghost so that I can sell this hotel, you need to bring me back a personal effect of the ghost that is in eternal damnation in this hotel. And it's like...
That sounds a little bit like Supernatural.
And it's very scary. The moment I get into the hotel, it's like you're in a horror game. It's not what I wanted. And I'm really scared, and the lights are off in my bedroom, and I'm just trying to play this. And I don't play that many games.
This is why you don't want to remember the abductions. It's too much.
But here's the thing, Mariah. I paid for this. So I'm not going to not play it. So I put myself through this experience I don't want. And
you could just say it was a few dollars. Fuck it.
No, I can't.
Yes, just throw it under the bridge. Say, I made a mistake.
But it feels like a Resident Evil game.
This is like Kenny Rogers.
It's a gothic
go.
Victorian seaside hotel. And you hear like a music box playing. There's lightning flashing. You fall through the stairs into the laundry room. And you hear laughter. And there are ghosts running around. And there are severed heads of children.
Okay, is the laughter clearly a recording, or have they done it very well? How well is it rendered?
It's done very well.
So it's actually kind of scary.
This game is a game with live voice acting.
This is like Bunny when Garrett Watts, Graveyard Girl, took everybody into there was a controversy on YouTube where Graveyard Girl took the Shane Dawson crew into a haunted toy shop that she knew the owner, and they were allowed to come in after dark. They were given the keys and they were going to stay there for the night. And she was saying she was going to prank everybody. But then Garrett Watts had a little recording of a growl, like an animal growl, on his phone, and he put it on the speakers, and she freaked out and accused him of trying to hurt her or something. I don't remember.
Yeah, Mariah. It was exactly like that.
It's just any realistic sounding noise. This is the problem. In this day and age, you can manufacture
I don't
anything.
know
So
who
what
any of those
is
people
real?
are, but I'm going to say yes, it was like that.
Were UFO sightings more real in a time when they could not be manufactured to that degree by just anyone?
Okay. But I soldier through this horror episode. I said, what if beyond this, they're just going to have this elaborate haunted house episode, but beyond this, it will be what I want. It will be the lighthearted Buffy vampire game that I want. So I go through this, and it turns out the personal artifact I need is a necklace. And I need to give this to...
Is it a locket? That sounds so gothic.
This story...
Is there a picture inside of a little girl?
No,
with
it doesn't.
Honey blonde hair.
It doesn't go that far, but I will say that every aspect of the haunting feels like it was taken from the most stereotypical. It was sourced from every well-worn horror trope that you can possibly imagine. There was no originality here. So it's like, you feel like you've seen and heard all of this before, but it's in a game form.
You've
so it's
seen
sort
it
of
all
novel.
before. It's well-worn territory that should not spook you, but the way that they're doing it, it's so realistic that it doesn't matter. You're being spooked.
I get the locket, and I take it back to the madam, who's a Malkavian. I'm supposed to take it back to her so I can unbind the little girl.
You can't trust a Malkavian.
But I end up giving it to a hooker because I think she's going to give me sexual favors. But the hooker then throws the locket into the ocean.
Why did you make that choice?
Because I'm stupid Nosferatu.
Wait, you have to?
No.
This is
I'm saying, but
role
what if
you made?
the Vampire the Masquerade chose correctly? Maybe I am a dumb Nosferatu. Okay, I gave the locket to a hooker because maybe I'm stupid. The hooker...
People tuning in now, this is not a real story. We're talking
It is
about
real.
a game.
Okay, so the hooker throws the locket into the ocean. She's like crazy.
Wait. Was she
but-
Monica from
No.
the song Monica by Ray Davies?
I don't know. But the...
No one will get
That's
that.
absolute insane nonsense. So I give the locket to a hooker vampire who throws the locket into the ocean maniacally, and the game tells me... So she throws the locket into the ocean, and then the game tells me, you have damned the little girl to eternal torment by the serial killer ghost because of your dumb choice. Because I was trying to get laid. So I have to live with that, and I keep playing the game. And
I know you've taken this to heart, even though it's a game.
then the
because that's your
game sends
personality.
me to another Hollywood Hills house, and it's another horror episode. And I go through that, and then beyond that, it sends me to Hollywood, and there's another horror episode in a graveyard. And at that point, I really stop playing the game because it's not what I wanted it to be. It's not enough Buffy, and it's too much Resident Evil. So it was very well done, and I might go back to it and actually try to play the game differently as a sexy vampire.
But the way we played the game, it was just an excuse to make up some sort of comedy skit. It was always something ridiculous. And that was also something highly praised at that high school. Cleverness, quips, skits. Everybody did skits. This was the International School of the Americas, and it was a long time ago. And you know, it was nerdy in the sense that it was like people who wanted to try out for SNL in a way.
Why did the game keep insulting its user? Like, it literally said I'm an idiot. Because I gave the locket to a hooker. I mean, on top of suffering the consequences of doing that, do I have to be called an idiot by the game? Was that necessary?
I don't know, Shannon. Maybe they'll respond. Maybe they'll hear
What would
this.
you have done in that situation?
I don't think I'd be playing the game.
So
I'd be reading Reddit, which is what I've been doing.
If you'd gotten to the Seaside Manor, would it be too scary for you to keep going?
I don't know. Sometimes I like things that are scary, and sometimes I don't. It's just depends on how well it's done.
Oh, and they're releasing a big sequel to this game, which is 16 years later. This was released in 2014, but it's called Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, and Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is coming out soon, and this is not an advertisement for either one. This is just my life.